Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Nakia from New Orleans. Nice to meet you. Welcome. I pray that you'll consider submitting a piece for Voices. Hi, V. What's up? What's up? What's up? I want to shout out Thomas Heath, who paints and painted this shirt. He's family at this point, so check him out on Instagram. Shout out to Hollis Heath, V-Day, and the whole Voices team, Kayla and Helen, everyone else who's tuning in. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to be here and about to be in conversation with the one and the only, Miss Kerry Washington. So we're going to wait for her to join on and tune in, and then we will begin. I don't think she's here yet, but when she is, we will go live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Came in with the heat. Hollis, please put in the comments your father's Instagram so people can follow Mr. Heath, who is an incredible artist, and he's definitely worthy of your support. Shout out to Chris Boogie in the building. Lauren Heels. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hi, Susan. We're just in the little waiting phase. It's, Instagram lives are always a little awkward at the beginning till we get the folks into the room. My name is Aja Monet. For those of you who don't know, I'm a poet, an organizer, and I'm grateful to be here with you. Ooh, Kerry's here. We're about to go.
Hi.
Hello. Me
Hi.
too.
It's so great to chat with you.
I am so honored to have you here. Kerry, thank you for joining us and making time. I'm going to do a quick little introduction because I know we don't have much time, so I want to go straight in.
Yeah.
So I'm Aja. I'm a poet and an organizer, and I am a part of V-Day. And I'm here to present to you all a project called Voices, the new interdisciplinary performance arts project and campaign, grounded in Black women's stories by V-Day, to unify the vision of ending violence against women, cis women, trans women, and non-binary people across the African continent and African diaspora. Our goal is to use art to embody and inspire solidarity making in our collective imagination. And this is one conversation that's a part of a series of conversations that we created for a virtual listening tool so that people can listen to Black women and be inspired to submit their stories. We are currently collecting submissions by Black women February 14th. So if you are a Black woman or you know a Black woman with a story to tell, please, please, please encourage her to her story or write it down for her. She can't write and she's not able to have access to the internet. be the one that helps her document her story. You can go to viasforvoices.com to submit, and let's begin. Okay.
Woo! Well done. That was a
Yeah.
lot to get through.
Yes. It's a lot to get through. So I'm not going to go too much into your bio because I'm hoping everyone knows who you are. But
Or they can look it up afterward.
yeah, one thing that they may not know is that Kerry Washington is a V-Day activist and a former V-Board member, and has performed the Vagina Monologues, including V-Day Harlem at the Apollo Theater. And so I wanted to begin with a question. First, thank you. I guess the first question I should probably ask, how are you feeling during this time? We've been in conversation with Carrie Mae Weems and Rada Blank, so many incredible women who talked about what it's like to be a Black woman, contemplate, having the ability to just contemplate, to think and to wonder and to feel and to experience this moment. And so I want to ask you that part there.
Thank you for creating this space and doing this work. It's so great to be in conversation with you. It's very day to day. I think today I find myself very weepy. I felt like over the weekend, I just started to breathe the breath I'd been holding for 4 years, and really a lifetime, right? Like generations of breath that we're holding and attempting to release and holding and release. And this weekend, I felt it start, like the cracks starting to make some space for breath. And so today there's more tears. But I feel like this is a really profound time to be alive as a Black woman doing this work. It feels very rich, this moment for us. The opportunities are rich, the struggles are rich, the community is rich, the awareness is rich, the resistance to us is rich. It's all like it's a very full moment, I think, to be walking in this skin in this time. So
Well, something I want to share, I grew up in New York City, and I got to be a part of this random PSA film project. And I remember before seeing you at Save the Last Dance, seeing in a high school info.
Wow, that's so funny. Where did you grow up in New York?
I grew up in Brooklyn,
Okay.
from East New York, and then we moved around. My mom was a single mom, struggled like most single mothers do. But one of the things why I wanted to bring that up is because you're not new to this. You've been doing a lot, speaking out and using your platform from the time you were very young, when you were in high school. And I don't think people really know that about you. I don't think people even know your involvement in with the Vagina Monologue. I wanted to ask you, what was it about the Vagina Monologues and that play that was able to either charge or ignite, inspire or motivate the activism work that you do around domestic violence and trying to end violence against women and girls?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I just saw somebody in the scroll say nice headpieces. I do love, it looks like we planned this, our matching headpieces. We didn't, everybody. I promise you, we didn't text each other this morning about our headgear. So I started like really, really early when I was about 13. I started doing work that combined art and activism. And so a few years later, when I saw the Vagina Monologues and I started doing this work, it was transformative for me because that all of that work I was doing, it was with a theater company called Night Star out of New York, and we used to perform at different high schools and community centers. But once I became a professional actor, right, once I started getting paid to do this work, the path for connecting the activism with the art wasn't always as clear for me, right? Like I stepped into the hustle of trying to pay my rent and have a career, and when Eve and this community of women who were like incredibly successful in all different kinds of ways as artists, right? Like successfully commercially or critically or creatively, that they were all doing this work for women, by women, in service of women, in service of women's liberation and freedom. I was like, oh, I found my people. Like I found my people. I found people I could walk through this life and through this career with, where I could not sacrifice any of my dreams or ambitions or visions for like a limitless creative career and possibility, but also stay connected to doing that in order to uplift my community. And it had a really profound impact on me to be part of the V-Day family and world and mission and journey.
Yeah, I know that for me, the Vagina Monologues, it wasn't the first time I had that experience, but it was a continuation. Like I remember
Yes.
Color Girls being a huge part of storytelling for me. But I wanted to share, there's a quote that's kind of connected by Augusto Boal, who wrote Theater of the Oppressed. And he said, theater is a form of knowledge. It should and can also be a transforming society. Theater can help us build our future rather than just waiting for it. The theater itself is not revolutionary. It is rehearsal for revolution.
Hmm.
I wanted to ask, what are the stories that you want to see told on the stage that could possibly help us rehearse for the world we want to see, that maybe we are not accessing right now?
Um, I just think honestly, living in these bodies, to be a woman, to be a woman of color, um, when we tell our truth, when we center, anytime we center ourselves, it is truly a radical act, because we still live in a world where patriarchy rules, systematic racism rules, heterosexism rules, right? So for us to say, like, you think of me as other, but I will upend that idea of other and center myself as the focal point of this narrative, this artful moment, whatever it is. And whatever that truth is for that character is so much for me part of what rehearsal for revolution looks like, because we have to see each other, we have to make room for each other, to stand together, to walk together, to fight for one another, to love one another, really, right? To be in that beloved space. So I don't know that I have a particular story of like, this has to matter. I just know, you know, when you think about like Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw and the work that she does, and I know she and Eve have worked so closely through the years, there is such a commitment in hegemonic culture to erase Black womanhood. And so anytime that we bring ourselves forward in whatever form that is, with like radical acceptance that we come in many shapes and sizes and journeys and identities within that, then that is of service to that other agenda to make us unseen and unheard.
That's such a point. I think one of the things I've learned in this position, at listening to women on the continent, is that there's still so many stories that aren't. And um, how can we be aware of the ways that we may perpetuate some of the problem, or what ways do we keep or hold back our system in the effort to sometimes tell our stories? And I wanted to ask you, over the years, you've done so much. You've evolved and you've transformed what it looks like to be a Black woman in the entertainment world, in the art world. What has solidarity looked like to you over the years? Who are women that showed up for you and have lasted the test of time in terms of pushing and holding you and yeah, being there for you and showing you how you could be better in solidarity with other women?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I really think working with V-Day taught me a lot about sisterhood and solidarity, especially because it, like, when I was on the V board, and when I walked into that first board meeting, it was like all of these, like what the outside world labels as powerful women, important women. And everybody was just sleeves rolled up, trying to do for the least of us, right? Like trying to, knowing that Fannie Lou Hamer quote, like, nobody's free unless we are all free. That means every woman in every corner of the earth. And I really think being on the V board taught me a lot about the power, the capacity of women to work together, to love each other, to create and build together in just like pure sisterhood. And a lot of these women, I mean, they are dear friends, like lifetime, lifelong friends because of that work, because of that time together.
Yeah, I talked to some of the women, to Edwige, who's an incredible writer, Haitian writer, and one of the things I got to ask her, and I wanted to ask you, was what advice have you been given by an elder woman in your life that has possibly stood the test of time and has showed up and you've had to use it in moments where you didn't think you would? You know, something your mama told your auntie, your grandma, and you didn't pay them no mind, and then one day yourself, oh wow, that's what they were talking about.
Such a good question.
Take your time. You don't have to feel rushed.
No, thank you. You know, it's funny, I'm realizing more and more in these years of my life how fragmented and sort of incomplete my memory is. And I don't have a moment in my mind of a particular like elder, particularly in my family, who offered something. But I think about the example of, honestly, and I'm not trying to be on brand. I think it's just, you know, front and center in my heart because we're talking about it. Like the example of these women that I was able to live alongside on the V board, you know, there was a lesson, you know, like from Jane Fonda and Melody Hobson and Beth DeZora. It's like there's a sense of a willingness to continue to evolve. Eve, I mean, it's to continue to meet the moment, this moment, with as much truth of who you are in this moment. I think I'm supposed to say V instead of Eve, but I
Yeah.
haven't. Yeah. So speaking of this moment, so that feels that feels like the biggest lesson is the lesson of their example of just, you know, not holding on to some didactic absolute truth ever, but knowing like I have the space and I deserve to continue to evolve and learn and grow and be in my truth, no matter who I disappoint, no matter who I may confuse, that my space to be is my space to be.
That's great. Thank you. I wanted to ask also about, do you ever get to talk to your younger self? Do you ever speak to her and let her know how you're doing now? And what do you say? What do you say if you ever speak to your old, younger Kerry? Yeah, or what would you say?
Yeah, sometimes I speak to her because, you know, there's a great phrase that I think of, a saying, you know, if it's hysterical, it's historical. And so sometimes if I'm like really upset about something or in a lot of anxiety or fear, I think it is my younger self often reacting. And so sometimes I'll speak to that version of me to try to wrap my head around a moment and to try to bring myself into what sort of the extra years has taught me, that things are not as scary, that my worst fears don't always unfold, and that even when they do, I have lived through it. And so I try to like offer my current wisdom to that younger fear, and try to have them meet each other and calm young girls stuff, you know? Oh, can you hear me? You're good?
Yeah, I said my sound is. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe weird. I guess I have two more questions because I know you have to head out. But one of the questions I wanted to ask was about the world that where women are, Black women particularly, but all women and more women in the world are loved and cared for. Um, what does that work look like to you, and what sacrifices do you believe we have to make to get there?
To get to a place where Black women are loved unconditionally.
Yeah, across the world.
Mm. I mean, we have to start with unconditionally loving ourselves. And I don't mean that as like a to try to shame us, to say like, you know, we have to, it's up to us to love ourselves. I don't mean it's that's the full answer to the problem, right? There are systems in place that make it hard. But for me, the ability to sustain a fight for my right to live and be in as much liberation as possible, like I have to believe, I have to choose self-love to be in that fight. And I'm stronger in that fight when I pick up actions of self-love. It's only sustainable for me if there's a willingness to fill the well with, you know, loving compassion for myself. um, and then I do think I really love that the way you keep phrasing it is really about us everywhere, because I do think there is such enormous power in our shared connection across the diaspora. And so the more that we can step into that, it's really exciting to think about how powerful we could be. But I think, you know, really, really, really loving ourselves, loving each other in a personal way, right? Like loving our sisters
Mm-hmm.
out loud and in front of each other, so that even the next generation sees how much worth we deserve and can share. And then, yeah, like figuring out in terms of like fighting for it, I always think like figure out what you have to offer, what you have to share. For some people, it might be producing a documentary. For other people, it might be holding a bake sale and giving that money to the Girl Scout troop in your community, right? Like whatever it is that you can bring, whether it's time or money or relationship or letter writing or phone calling or writing performance or performing somebody else's performance, capturing a story for your sister, giving your story to V-Day, to this journey, to voices, like whatever it is that you can give, just give and trust that it's enough.
Mm, yeah. I wanted to ask about the challenges that you may face to trying to tell stories on stage. I think, or in film, I think it's a big order for art to have to hold. There's a lot of expectation for an art piece. So, and I wanted to ask you what have been the things you learned and the challenges you faced and thinking about how to hold for all that you're doing with those stories. What are the limitations of storytelling that you feel you've had to face?
Well, I think the danger is that when there's not enough stories about any community, then the pressure is on for that one story to make room for everybody. And so I've just really tried to resist that temptation to make art that is for everybody or that everybody then can relate to. Like I feel like that the specificity of whatever story I'm telling will make room for everybody. Whether they step into it or not is their choice, but I can't dumb it down, water it down, cater it to. I just have to tell the truth of that particular narrative. So for me, it's been really important to not be seduced into trying to people please every audience member, because I'm just never going to, that's never going to be fulfilling for me as an artist. And it's never going to allow the story I'm telling to be the story that it needs to be. You know, the story has to belong to itself. So I think the more that we create art that tells stories about the women, the lives of Black women, the more we're all able to take risks, right? Because we don't hold the pressure of having to be everybody's story. But it's also why pieces that allow for multiple stories, you know, the piece like the work that you're collecting, that you're curating, it's so important because in itself your piece is asking for a multitude of voices, asking for a multitude of perspectives and identities and what it means to walk in these bodies. So that kind of work is so necessary, because it allows an audience, it allows each of us to sit down and say like, oh, look at the vastness of who we are.
I think you just saying that brought a question. I'm gonna, uh,
Yeah.
we're trying also to expand from moving forward from the vagina to our voices, right? Expanding our relationship to gender. How can gender be more expansive? I wanted to ask you learned in your journey to complicate gender and your expanse? What struggles may you still have this time transforming and uprooting gender norms in a way that made you when you were coming up, and has excited you, and what also challenged you about that?
Yeah, I think it's such a good question. We have a couple of projects that we're working on at my company that I didn't really realize. I'm now starting to see as we're developing these projects, like, oh, I'm low key a little bit obsessed with this like gender norm moment that we're living in, because we have to make room for more courageous exploration of how we express our gender. We've always had to do it in the Black community, because so much of how we have been attacked and disempowered and really abused as a community has been to attack our roles in our families, our ability to be men or to be women. And so then the aggressive pursuit of those traditional norms has had such a negative impact on our community, right? We're just looking, so where are people uprooted, stolen from home, just desperately looking to figure out who we are and how we can be with each other, when we've been told we're not allowed to be with each other or even be unto ourselves. So really committing to understanding how gender and like a healthy embrace of gender fluidity and gender curiosity, particularly in how we express our gender and our gender roles in families, it's necessary to the healing of our community. It really, really is.
Yeah, I that you that's so lovely. Good job.
Thanks.
So I guess the last one I was going to share was about it's a quote, and I just want to say thank you for your time again. I know that you're so busy and working on so much, but this is exciting for us. You know, it meant a lot for us to have someone who is a Black woman that was a part of the Vagina Monologues, be a full circle as we create this piece that's centering Black women's stories. Thank you. Robin D.G. Kelly has a quote. He wrote this book called Freedom Dreams, which is a big inspiration of mine. And in the quote at the end of the book, he says, "What shall we build on the ashes of a nightmare, unless we have space to imagine and a vision of what it means fully to realize our humanity? All the protests and demonstrations in the world won't bring about our lives." I get chills every time I hear it. I wanted to ask you, you know, as we exist on the ashes of a night, as we are reimagining what we want to see, if you had all the resources and all the, you know, the things to your fingertips, what project, what projects, you know, are you excited to create into the world? What magic do you want to be able to be a part of doing and fostering? I know you're doing so much already, and maybe there's a way to explain that. Like, what is the things that you're doing now that currently is excited? It makes you excited about the future and what we are building.
Well, I want to first say thank you so much for doing this work, for embarking on this journey to create something that's so needed, in the tradition of work that has been so liberating to really single out Black women and hold space for us, because we are always holding space for everybody, saving elections. And like, that's what we do, right? We swoop in and save. We raise other people's children, and we don't get the space to raise ourselves up. So I'm so grateful that you're doing this work. And I want to be really, really honest and say that in this moment, the work for me looks a lot like a nap. Like I know that there's like really exciting creation on the horizon, and I'm actually directing something for television starting next week, and when that's done, it's really time to like
Rest.
go in, right? Like we have to give ourselves space to get quiet, and know that where we are creating from is actually a space of health and well-being, and maybe not perfect. I'm not saying like I'm going to take a nap and then have no feelings and create something ideal, right? It just means like I need to step off the treadmill for a minute to know that the next thing that I'm creating is for me, so that I can bring all of that truth of who I am as a woman, as a Black person, as a member of the diaspora. Like I need a moment before I'm rising from ashes to just be, you know? And I think we have to give that to ourselves. We have to give when we need it. And thank God we don't all need it at the same time usually. So that's great because we can say like, go ahead, sis. I'm gonna sit here and be ready because you're gonna need an intermission and I'll step in then. Right? Like we have to do that.
Yeah, that was perfect. Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for that. I have to remind myself of that. So every time another Black woman tells and says that, I think sometimes we are made to feel guilty for rest, especially patriarchal and productivity. Go, go, go. So I hope that you get rest. I thank you for the continue to do on and off screen. And we look forward to continuing to build with you and build relationships with the work that you are doing. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you so much. What a joy. I love talking to you.
Yes, anytime.
Everybody send us your stories. Let yourself be seen. Be part of this work. It will
Yeah.
cleanse your soul.
And you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Mwah.
Yeah. Bye. Have one time.
Bye.
Okay. That was it. We are at the end. Sorry that we could not have a full hour. We got a half hour, which was good. We got a lot out of that. The radical rest part, for sure. Check out Nap Ministry and the work that they're doing. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. All of you who are incredible supporters of Kerry Washington and the work she's been doing. Please check out viasforvoices.com, where we have more information about the call for submissions. Follow V is for Voices on Instagram, right up there. You'll see it. We are doing our best to create and curate conversations that can critically engage our people, particularly Black women, in their stories and their voices, and feel empowered to submit their stories, to also know that they need rest, and to know that V-Day has been here, is here, and will continue to be here, serving women across the globe, and making sure that our women are protected in the best way we can possibly do that. Art is a big part of that. And so I want to thank the Vagina Monologues historically for the work that it's done and how it's politicized and organized women all over the world. And we pray that this project can continue to follow in that tradition. So, so much love to you all. Thank you so much, so much, so much, so much for being here and tuning in. Y'all could be doing anything else in the world. I know you could. But you're here and you're present. And yes, Essex, 3-year-old, V for Voices just wrote, well, I don't know if the 3-year-old can submit, but please feel free. The website, again, somebody said to announce the website again, www.visforvoices.com. Also, I do not speak French tattoo, but we do have, I speak a little, un petit peu, but there is a, what would I say? There is a translations on the website. There are translations in English, French, and Spanish, I believe. And we also can get other translations to you if you need. Again, if you currently know someone, if you are not yourself open to sharing a story, don't feel like you have a story to share, please feel free to be encouraged to share another Black woman's story, with permission, of course, but reach out to your aunties, your grandmamas, your, you know, all the women in your life that you know who have done magnificent things that the world has yet to really hear or know. And maybe it can transform them. The fact that you want to help document their story and you know that no one ever listens to them. No one ever asks who they are or how they got to be where they are. So reach out to them and see if possibly you can document their story. We're also collecting visual art, so consider submitting your visual art as well. Any other questions? Does submission have to fit into one of the prompts, or can you submit whatever you're feeling as well? Does not have to fit into the prompts. The prompts are on the website for you to be inspired. That's all they're there for. They're a prompt. They're to ignite your inspiration, or to maybe engage in a conversation with your auntie or your sister and see, oh, what does she think about this? I mean, I don't know if y'all noticed, but I did ask one of the questions to Kerry just now. It was a little nerve-wracking because I knew she didn't have much time. So I was trying to get all the questions I had way more questions in there. And so imagine what it would be like to be in conversation with your grandmother, your sister, girl, your friend. Usually you ask one question, it's going to lead to another question, and then it'll be a conversation. So something you can do is orally record the responses and then transcribe them. That's another way you can document the stories. Because the virtual reality realm is so limiting, we're trying to do as much as we can to outreach and have folks call their grandmamas, call their aunties, knock on doors with a mask on, of course, to see your sister or whatever, and make sure she submits her story. Remind her you do get a payment, $1,000 compensation for the stories that are selected. That's something I should have mentioned, but I didn't. But I did now. So there you go. So you could go to www.visforvoices.com, submit. There's a submission guidelines there. And then when you submit, we will be spending time with all of these stories to create the new piece that will then be the center of the work that we will do for the next however long, and hopefully we have a bunch of other women whose stories get centered. We work with women all over the world. There's Indigenous women, here in Canada and all over in South America. And hopefully there's an Indigenous Women's Voices project. We want to get as many women's stories as possible, but right now we're centering Black women's stories. So thank you. What other question is there? You also don't have to be a Black woman to submit. To support. You do have to be a Black woman to submit, but you do not have to be a Black woman to support the project. We will also be creating a solidarity toolkit that will be in collaboration with the art piece. So, we need as many people who love Black women and who want to see a world that's more equitable and sustainable for all of us to follow Vias for Voices. Go look up right now and go to our Instagram and follow us there. We're also sharing Black women who have helped change and shift and push the culture. We're sharing good quotes and tips and techniques to be a better person in solidarity with Black women. We're sharing Black women's voices and the range of our voices. And we're also having a few more conversations before the end of the submissions deadline. So February 14th is the submissions deadline. Feel free. Oh, how are you defining Black? Well, Black, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If you are African or of African descent, if you identify as Black and you are Black, you experience the world as a Black person. When you move in the world, you are treated as a Black person. You look like a Black person. You were raised by Black people. You don't have to be raised by Black people, right? There's people who've been adopted, etc. But the gist of it is that one identifies as Black. We are going to not try to regulate how people identify. That's not our goal. But we also we're expecting and leaning on you all not being fucked up. Just not trying to identify as someone else. Try to identify as yourself. And don't try to identify as someone else when we're trying to center people who do not get centered. So love to you all. Yeah, if you don't know if you're Black or not, then you're not. Great job. Good job, Ray Emanuel. That's a good one. Y'all are awesome. Everybody here is asking really good, incredible questions. Great audience. You guys are dope. Please follow Vias for Voices. I actually don't want to um, like say bye to y'all. I want to see any more questions for the project. Yes, 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 yes. We thank you all for listening, for tuning in. Yeah, the biggest thing is, y'all, we just want support, you know. Would an African immigrant qualify? Yes, of course. Of course. You do not have to be from the States. In fact, we have a good amount. I think we have maybe a third of our submissions are currently from out of the States. Maybe a little more than that. But we want more. I think we have more than that, but we want way more. The goal is to get a great amount of them from out of the States. Is the project going to be running long term? Yes, the project will be running long term. Right now, we're creating the art piece. It's a long term thing. The art piece will then be used to be performed and recited and supported across the movement to end violence against women and girls all over the world. So that's why we're taking this time to really curate the pieces intentionally and get as many submissions as possible, because this art piece, we hope, will be a huge organizing tool for Black people and folks who are not Black to be in support of Black people. You know, the Vagina Monologues was such a huge thing, which is why we wanted to highlight Kerry Washington, who was someone who did the Vagina Monologues. It was such a transformational piece for a lot of women. A lot of women learned about their vaginas and were open to saying the word vagina for the first time. So there's a lot of taboos that it dispelled and things that it disrupted in the consciousness of people, just like for Color Girls by Ntozake Shange. So we want this to fall in the same vein. I'm not going to put the pressure on myself for it to be the same, but it won't be. It just won't be. It's a different time. It's a different moment. And the stories that we hope to focus on, we pray will bring stories that those pieces weren't speaking to. And so feel free to oh, this project reminds me of Four Women, Nina Simone. That's great. Yeah, that's a high standard, high expectation. Yes, women equality is a fundamental right. That's what they say. It has yet to be the case in the world. So till we get there, we're going to keep on writing, keep on creating, and keep on organizing. Black folks are all over the world. Yes, we're global. Once you have the projects, how will you materialize? Oh, Black Women Project, great. You can hit us up on Instagram and I can speak more about that. But it's great that you guys are asking these questions, because I guess I don't have the time. I haven't been able to really speak to people and answer them. Well, there's a few things that's going to happen. So once we create the piece, we will know how the piece will live, in what ways we want it to live in the world. Currently, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so we have to be realistic and aware and sensitive to the way that theater has changed because of this. And so we're thinking about how do we make sure that a piece comes alive in the world. And we have some ideas about that. I'm not going to put them all out there yet, but we're going to figure out a way for this piece to live in the world, hopefully in a way that can be on theater and can show up virtually, hopefully. But yes, that has yet to be determined, because we are still in a current global pandemic where our government is fucking up. So we will see how things turn out in the following months. There's no guarantee. What we do know is that we're collecting Black women's stories right now. That's about as far as we're going to go. We're going to collect the stories and we'll figure out how it comes to be in the world. Yes, brothers are on here going in. Thank you. I think I'm going to let you all go, because now it's almost 15 minutes over that I have been on this live after Kerry Washington was with us. But oh, how many submissions are allowed? For example, your personal story, your mother's story, etc. Can we submit both? Yes, you can. I am Valenti. Yes, you can. These are great questions. I'm glad that you all are asking them, because then I could remember to go back to the website and put them in there, because I don't think we explicitly noted that. But yes, you can submit your story and your mother's story if that's what you plan to do. Thank you, Denise Hutton. Hollis, come up here. Actually, this will be a great time for me to talk to Hollis. She trying to play. Hollis, you better say yes. We still have time, and you can come on the project and speak with me. She probably not gonna say yes. I want you all to look up Heart of Hollis on Instagram. She's also a part of this project, and will be helping me curate the pieces. So that's why I requested her to see if she wants to come up and answer some of these questions with me. Then there's Helen, who is Orange Moon on Instagram, and she helps with our digital strategy, and she's been doing incredible work with that. Hollis, that doesn't matter. Nobody cares. We just want to see your face. She said well, I'm not gonna say what she said. Okay, she not joining. Anyway, we love y'all. Thank you all so much. I pray that you had an incredible day, that you listened and heard something that you could take from this. Black women are not a monolith. We all have very different ways of moving in the world and seeing the world, but we have a lot to offer and contribute to the next, I guess, imagining, or the next world we want to create. And I do pray that you lean into the Black women in your life and learn how to love them a little better. I didn't want to say harder, but better. And to listen more deeply and intentionally. And by virtue of that, like, learn to love yourself a little better. You can't really love nobody else if you're not loving yourself. So if you have hate in your heart for anyone, it's a sign that you probably need to examine yourself. Yeah, that's probably what you should do. In any event, I just want to thank you all for listening. Heath Gallery, shout out to Heath Gallery on here. My shirt is from Thomas Heath and the Heath Gallery. And I love y'all. Is it possible to submit poetic, film, short, or written the only form? Right now, written is, but Nana Life, if you want to submit your art so we can see it, we are going to work on some film stuff. So submit it. Submit, yes. Submit your film. If you have films, short films, submit them. Because that might be good for us to see how else we could be putting the project out into the world. So please, yeah, if you are a filmmaker and you want to submit some films, submit it. Dope. I'm so excited. This was great. We got some engagement. We got some folks tuning in. And I pray that even if we get one extra story out of this, that's what we needed. So much love to y'all. V is for Voices. Go on Instagram and follow. I can't tell you enough. Go to visforvoices.com to submit. My name is Aja Monet, Ajamonet. My Instagram is Aja Monet, Ajamonet, but that doesn't matter because you need to go to V is for Voices. Okay? Have a beautiful, incredible, oh, there goes Helen. Hold on, Helen. Let me see if Helen wants to come on here. Is Helen gonna deny me like Hollis did? We had extra time, and I didn't really know what to do with the time we're trying to kill. So now I'm just on here answering questions and trying to see if Helen will join. Yes.
Hear me?
Helen.
Hey, Aja. Hey, y'all.
This is
That
kind
was a great conversation.
yes. I mean, you know, we've had a range. We had a wide range during these conversations. Everybody, this is Helen. She's the incredible person who helps make sure that our digital strategy runs on 1,000, and is also just dope at content and like working through ideas. She's an incredible organizer based in South Florida, and you all should know who she is. Helen, is there anything that we should remind the folks, anything we should be telling the community that we have not already?
Hmm. I don't know. I just think, like, I really love that quote that you shared with us on Robin D.G. Kelly and freedom dreaming. I think now is a time, like, what better time to imagine a new world than right now, you know, when things are falling apart and we're seeing the shadows of this empire and of this country with such a dark history come to light. It's like, why don't we imagine a world where women are holistically loved, where our voices are heard, where our needs are met, where we're cared for all over the world? And I think artists are the perfect people to envision that. And yeah, we need everybody's story. Like Kerry Washington was saying, the more stories that we get out there, the less pressure it is for one Black woman to tell the story of us all. And I think that was like a key point in the conversation. And I just really want to emphasize that the more like multiplicity, the more nuance, the more like the details in your specific story that's beautiful, that's special, that of all the things that you have overcome, we want to hear it, no matter where you are in the world. And so, yeah, it really, you telling your specific story allows us to also do the same. And
Yeah.
that's really important.
Thank you, Helen. That was such a great addition and wrapped up in a bow, the way you articulated that. Everyone, someone asked, Heath Gallery asked who Helen is. Helen, again, I will repeat, she's part of the Voices team. If you guys go to visforvoices.com, you will see a list of the team, of the folks who are currently on staff. We just brought in a new sister, Tasia, to help us with strategy around the virtual reality and stuff into the world. Online. Can you tell I don't have a for this?
The virtual reality, that's what we're living in though with COVID. Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. But I just want to say that, you know, we spent a lot of time thinking about how to pull you all in and to get to, you know, get your stories and to think through how to help you feel supported in telling your stories. And so feel free to email us. Let us know what are some of the things you want to hear and see in the stories. Respond to some of the captions and the posts that we put up. We will continue to put up content for you all. I hate that word content, but we will continue to put up stories and beautiful portraits of Black women creators and makers and lovers and livers. And hopefully you will resonate with one of them, or you will find something that inspires you in some of them. So that's where we are. And yeah, thank you, Helen, for all you're doing. And I'm looking forward to the next conversation. I think we have February 1st.
I can't wait. Yeah, today was great. Thank you, Aja, and thank you everybody on here, to all the Black women and all the people that love us that are on here.
Awesome. Okay, let's get off.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye, y'all.